Hey guys, so I'm in a relatively good mood. When I started class, this hoodie of mine went missing a few months ago, and some buddy of mine said he found it, and since we don't see each other very often, he was like, "Oh hey, I got your hoodie." I'm like, "Oh seriously? That's where it went?" Jesus, I was wondering. I completely forgot about it. I'm glad I finally got my hoodie back. I freaking love this thing. Got this from Mountain Warfare training, so hey, pretty cool. Anyways, guess I should talk about something a little bit more serious today, eh? So, today, we're talking about that ICE shooting. And it's absolutely ridiculous. I had a buddy of mine on my Discord, defending the woman, saying that, she didn't deserve to die. And I'm like, look, listen. I know for a fact that every single time something like this happens, Democrats cannot help but take a tragedy and try to spin it in a way that makes them look good. Like every single time, every single instance where something horrible happens, they're always the first ones to jump on it and try to change the narrative so that they come out on top. And I knew I knew instantaneously that's what they were going to do. And that's what they were doing. And they're trying to say, oh no, they're killing people now. We got to get these people out of Minnesota. We got to stop them. They're not supposed to be here. They're hurting the Somalian population. Despite the fact that 80% of fraud cases involve Somalis. And it just so happens to turn out that, Democrats have been allowing these people to commit fraud for a literal decade at this point without any, trying to stop them, any, safeguards, any, guardrails whatsoever. No, they just let it happen. So the first time that there's a shooting where Tim Walz's whole career has been completely and utterly destroyed to the point of it's completely non-existent at this point. And it just so happened that Tim Walz was the guy that they put up for the vice presidency. Oh, now they care. Now they care that people are being hurt in their neighborhoods. It's just the rampant crime that goes on in these major cities every single day. Now they care. Well, CBS, a not very Trump-supportive organization, came out and put out that, hey, that ICE agent that shot that woman, it turns out he was suffering from internal injuries because she hit him with her car. Like we were saying the entire time. So there was just another distraction. Just yet another distraction, fake outrage, pretending that this woman was completely innocent, that she hadn't hurt a single person in her entire life. She ran over a federal agent during an operation where she was bothering these guys for what it sounds like for a very long time. And ended up getting herself killed because she decided to drive off and commit a hit and run. And the officer, who was now bleeding internally, decided not to take that, lying down. Because who knows if she was going to come back and try to run over a different agent. So, yep, play stupid games, you win stupid prizes. And I was trying to tell this guy this the entire time. It's like, look, listen, wait until the full thing comes out. I know you saw it from 3 different angles. Each one cut specifically short, so you couldn't tell exactly what was going on. But, wow. He was trying to, my buddy was trying to tell me, it's like, hey, she didn't hit him, she wasn't even driving towards him. Explain the internal injuries then. You really have to wonder, how people fall for this stuff. Look, the Democrats are in a really bad position right now. They're being accused of allowing the Somali population to get away with billions and billions of dollars worth of fraud. Over $9 billion at this point. And there's suggestions that the Somalis that are getting rich off of this are also donating part of the proceeds to Democrat operations or Democrat campaigns so that Democrats look the other way. Now, you might say that's a conspiracy theory, except for, matter of fact, during the whole war with Ukraine, Zelensky came out and said that he hasn't received all the money that was supposedly sent overseas. In fact, there's huge amounts of equipment and supplies that never made it to Ukraine. In fact, we found that somebody had donated a truck to the Ukrainians, and it was supposed to be sent over there to help them like transport goods back and forth, not in a war zone, hopefully. It was just a normal pickup truck. And then a picture of it with with his like company's logo on it appeared in the Middle East in the hands of terrorists. So a lot of Ukrainians are taking equipment, it sounds like, or some intermediaries between Ukraine and the United States was taking the equipment and selling it off or donating it straight to terrorist organizations. And at the same time, we know that the Democrats have received a lot of money in campaign donations from very sketchy sources overseas. In fact, we know for a fact that Democrats get a lot, and I mean a lot, of campaign funding from organizations and people from overseas. People who have an invested interest in a globalist agenda. And when I say a globalist agenda, I mean that they want to make sure that the United States is being ripped off as much as possible for trade negotiations. So they want to make sure that their countries and their corporations overseas are getting a lot of money from the United States paying tariffs or a bunch of other crap, or their companies are protected from United States goods. I have mentioned the car industry before, for example, where we sell like a fourth the amount of cars in Europe that Europe sells in America, and Europe has a bigger population, and that's all having to do with tariffs that the EU has on America. And when Trump tries to even the playing field so that we can actually sell more cars in their market and lower the amount of cars they sell in our market to make it a more fair trade deal, Trump is called a tyrant and an idiot and trying to destroy the economy, despite the fact that he is trying to make sure that our goods are actually being sold overseas. And while he tariffs China and people keep complaining about it, it's like China steals our technology, drives our businesses, out of business, makes a cheaper, inferior product to replace the one that our companies were building, uses slave labor, and overall does everything in their power to undermine our economy. Yes, it hurts our economy in the short term to tariff China because every corporation on the planet decided that the best thing to do was to use literal slave labor in China to make their goods instead of using actual Americans here in America, while we import millions of immigrants that don't have any jobs to take. Like, a lot of Somalis, for example, have stay-at-home mothers. They don't have jobs for the mothers because, well, there's no jobs to give them in the first place. And therefore, we have to spend a lot of our taxpayer money to support these people because they have 7 kids and only one parent has a job. And their kids are not working either. All in all, it's a giant scam. It's a pyramid scheme. Like, all the rest of us have to pay all this money to make sure that these people have enough government support in order to survive. And all that government support is voted on by Democrats, who then tell these people that, hey, once you're naturalized, you will keep voting for Democrats for the rest of eternity, or else we're going to take away your benefits. So Democrats have a very vested interest into shutting up every single government agent, every ICE agent who goes over there to stop crime, because any crime is linked directly back to the Democrats. So they'll throw anyone under the bus, any person who gets killed, they'll hold up as a martyr. even if that person is a criminal, someone who literally ran over federal agents with her car, you can tell how frustrated I am. Because people fall for this over and over and over again. You know, Democrats want a mass event, right? They want, like, federal agents to open up on a crowd. They want a Kent State event. If you don't know what Kent State is, look it up. This happened back in, I think, the 70s, where a bunch of agents went onto like a college protest and they just opened up on the crowd and like a bunch of students ended up dying. They want pictures just like that all over the internet so they can blame Trump and they can blame federal agencies while they, Democrats, up the amount of hatred, try to get more people to protest, try to get more people to get violent, to get absolutely out of their minds in hatred and anger and just attack, literally physically attack agents until agents just lose control and lose all discipline and defend themselves in such a way that they can show pictures online and be like, see? Federal agents are evil! Police are evil! Evil! Just so they can't get investigated. They want people dead. So they won't get investigated for their crimes. That's the A to B here. And I'm sick of it. I am absolutely sick of Democrat corruption, Democrats lying, Democrats always bringing up the temperature, trying to cause violence and death and destruction just to hide the fact that they stole a few cookies from the cookie jar. Stop stealing our money. Stop bringing in illegals. Stop taking money. Stop taking bribes. And we're going to throw you all in jail because you're criminals. You're criminals and we hate you. Because you're robbing us blind. And then you're calling us racist, sexist, xenophobic. All these buzzwords because you are doing everything in your power to shut up people who look at you and see that you're a criminal. That's why they have hate speech laws, so that you cannot speak out against them. So you can't speak out against their policies. So you can't speak out against like illegal immigrants that they bring in who commit crimes and then give kickbacks to the Democrats or the Liberal Party or the Labor Party or whatever leftist party you want to talk about. Socialists in general, they will get their money from these people. That is what their game is. That is what their game has always been. That has been their whole strategy. All of these leftist parties for a decade, 2 decades by now, probably 3 decades by now. I want everyone to get that into their heads and stop letting them get away with it. They can't keep getting away with it. Apparently they can because Democrats are so stupid that they will just take the side of foreigners over the fact that, you know, they'll just say that Trump is a pedophile and something like that and frickin' just try to smear him because they have no brains. They can't think. Think, Mark, think. Learn to have some basic frickin' critical thought. Look around and ask yourself, why do Democrats suddenly care about crime? Why do they suddenly care about people being killed? How many people are killed on a weekly basis inside Chicago? It is like 5 to 20, depending on the week. Do Democrats care? No, because Democrats are in charge. They're the ones who are causing that because they can't control crime. They cannot eliminate poverty. They can't do anything to help stop that kind of crime. So when one singular person gets themselves killed because they ran over a federal agent, Democrats lie, cheat, and steal and try to say it's Trump's fault, while they steal billions of dollars, some of which is going back into their pocket, being donated by the very people who are stealing the money in the first place. Before you think, oh, Democrats are nice, they care about this woman being killed, ask yourself why they don't kill about the 1,000 other people who have been being killed in Chicago for the last few years. Why do they suddenly care about deaths now? They don't. That's the point. They don't care that people are dying. They only care if somebody dies if they can use that person's death to attack Trump. That is the only time they care. That is the only time they will ever care. You can tell I'm mad. You can tell I am very, very angry. Because Democrats don't care. Democrats don't care that Detroit went from 2.2 million residents to less than 600,000. They'll never blame themselves. They've been in charge ever since the downfall of Detroit has started, and they have done nothing to help stop it. In fact, it's only gotten worse under the decades of Democrat rule. Will anyone in Detroit ever vote in a Republican? Nope, they will not. Why? Because they think Republicans are racist. Why? Because Democrats tell them that they're racist. There have been no Republicans in office in Detroit for the last 40 to 50 years. And yet Democrats still successfully, to this day, say that it's all Republicans' fault. And people just believe them. Because the voters are just that ignorant. It's stupid. It's dumb. Everyone who realized that the Democrats were running a scam in Detroit have all left. Therefore, the only people who are left in Detroit are people who are hardcore Democrat supporting extremists at this point, it seems like, who will continue to vote Democrat to the day they die, despite the fact that the Democrats have always been the party of racism. They were the party of slavery. They were the party of Jim Crow. They were the party of the KKK. They're the party of affirmative action. They're the party that thinks that black people are too stupid to get into college without getting extreme government support. The Democrats are the racist party. They have always been the racist party. They will always be the racist party. The party's never switched, and if anyone actually paid any attention whatsoever, they would realize that that whole narrative of the party switching is the biggest BS, the biggest gaslighting idea that the Democrats have ever fooled millions of people into believing. You just hear that when you're 16 years old, and they expect you to believe that until the day you die. Well, I wasn't stupid enough to fall for it. Or actually, I just learned enough over time to realize it was total BS. And now I spend my time to try to help other people realize that whole idea is complete BS. It's not that you're stupid. It's not that anyone here is stupid. It's just that they don't pay attention to politics like I do. I have paid so much attention to politics that it's driven me absolutely up a wall. Is it good for my mental health? I don't care, because I actually can control my emotions, more or less. I get mad, like I am right now, but that's just me getting out those emotions and telling you, look, listen, this is the way things are. This is the way you should, look at the world, and you should do your own research if you don't believe me. And this is where we are. So, again, I was right again! Turns out that woman had done something to get herself shot. God, I am good at this. It's not like this hasn't happened a million times before. It has. And I will not let it go, ever, that they keep doing shit like this and just expecting to get away with it. Well, not anymore. Not with me. I just realized I should have gone shopping today. But hey, it is what it is. I gotta go actually go do that. So, I'm gonna leave it there. Bye, guys.